Dear Grace, Principal Dave here. I realize I can't call myself Comedian Dave. I don't want to anyways. I want to be a P word. Principal Dave of the School of Comedy still works. Because to be a comedian, you have to get on stage. But to be a teacher, you don't have to. Here's why I need an editor, Grace. Mental health. Not mine. Although I suspect most editors will be thinking, why would I want to work with this lunatic? I'd say do it for the money. Train to the library. I'll get back to mental health in a second. And now he flies. Son of a bitch. It's a crow that made me move, Grace. It's right above me. Shit in my head. And then he's making funny cockatoo sounds or woodpecker sounds. I don't know if it's skimpy foot or not. Might be. He only did shit on the bench. Son of a bitch, I was right. Oh. Off to bench 2 for the day. I can handle dried bird shit. I can handle drug needles. But fresh bird shit. Seems excessive. He, she, it is still here. Yet to determined. Its purpose, other than to annoy me. I'm gonna let this record so that we can see or hear if he does it again. Actually, very talkative. I'm gonna say that's a she. Goddamn parade of babies today. If you're here, Grace, you're coming home all bruised. You're punching the crap out of you. Mental health. Alright, Grace, this isn't an official Dear Grace. It's not intended to be funny. It's intended to be serious. But I am recording at the library. And sometimes funny shit goes down, which I'll feel the need to comment on to keep my own sanity. The reason they need an editor, Grace, is because the English language is fucked. And when I become Prime Minister and create the Canadian version, of course it'll be the best ever, but besides that, one of the first words I'm going to define is mental health. I'm going to give you my definition right now. But this is the problem with, I guess, those two words, mental or health, is nobody can define what mental health means. Nobody can measure it. Nobody can gauge it. Nobody can take a blood test or a CT scan. Nothing. And then ultimately it becomes the excuse that everyone can use. The police can use the excuse, the politicians can use the excuse, the school, the everyone, depending on the situation. And it's just so perfectly blanketed that nobody can question it. It's like you can't question the word gay. Well, that's not a fair comparison, but gay at least has some physical actions to it that we'd all agree are gay actions. Mental health, it's just an excuse. So, what I think we should do, Grace, or what I'm going to do, whether anyone else does it or not, I really don't give a flying fuck. If you're watching the live feed and day drinking, anytime somebody walks by, take a drink. I'm day drinking my Tim Hortons. That adjusted lid. They put it on the seam. That never works out. Back in my passive aggressive days, I would have just stood in front of them, taken the lid off, turned the cup, put the lid back on, and give them a dirty look like, how dare you? How dare you not notice after 500 cups of coffee? Anyways, mental health is a real problem. Mental health. It's different for every single person because everything in everyone's lives is different. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you 10 things that affect my mental health. Or just if you imagine any 10 things before I give you mine. No, actually I'll give you mine first because that makes sense. Here are my 10. Plus I already put a picture up. So, sleep, boredom, food, caffeine, THC, booze, purpose, companionship, creativity, and loneliness. Now, obviously there's more things like age could come into that. And that list could be 100 items long. And those are just the 10 first I thought of today. Tomorrow I'll think of 10 different ones, and the day after that 10 more and 10 more. I'll have 100 in a week and be tired of talking about this. My point is, if you have 10 items, let's say if you have 5 levels for each item. You have high, medium, low, and low. Just like 5 slices of coffee. So if you have 5 different options for sleep, high, and I don't know, a lot of sleep, medium, high, fair amount, medium, reasonable, medium, low, not enough, low, I didn't sleep at all. You can imagine how those 5 things alone can change everything else. Boredom, food, caffeine, etc. A lot of sleep, I don't need a lot of caffeine. But the point I'm trying to make is, even with 10 of those in 5 levels, how many different possible combinations do you think you can get out of that, Grace? I'm gonna double check, I looked it up earlier. It's either 30 million or 3 million. No, 10 million. It says 10 million combinations. And throughout the day, and not just with 10 of these items, 10 items at 5 levels is 10 million combinations. Which basically means 10 million personalities based on these 5 items. Or my mental health level is at 10 million different possible combinations. And that's without looking at anything at all. Past, etc., etc. Now if we drop it down to 3, just good, normal, bad, or great, normal, horrible, then it drops down to 60,000. I realize I'm exaggerating, but I'm kind of not, if you think about it. Now, if none of these things affect you, and every day is just everything is that normal, then great. I think with most people, I think most people have some sort of prioritized or internalized list of what affects them the most and what they do. What they do to use it to their advantage, if at all. So for me, mental health is basically undefinable because there's too many variables. It seems like everybody's too lazy to actually define it. I'd say this is my definition. Someone else should give me their definition. And then when you merge the two together, we get our joint definition or agreed upon definition between two people. It's almost like certain words you have to have a agreed upon definition, Grace. Which isn't a bad idea. Punch, baby. Pretty girl on the phone didn't last very long today, I don't know why. Grace. And also, each of these can go both ways. Sleep. Great, normal, horrible. If I have a great sleep and I have nothing to do the next day, and I wake up with all shitload of energy, no creative release for it. That's not necessarily a good thing for my mental health. Now, if I wake up after a good sleep and I've got a good idea in my head, like defining mental health, then I'm ready to start recording on the platform. So from now on, Grace, I'm just going to keep defining words until either I'm Prime Minister Dave, Pastor Dave, Principal Dave, or Papa Dave. You choose, Grace. By the way, you're still my first choice for editor. If you have time. Busy schedule, no. Boredom. If I'm not bored, I got something to work on, and I don't want to sleep. Which is why you don't see Adderall on this list. Because Adderall can take away the boredom and the sleep. So I avoid that altogether. Which in a sense should be on the list. Because it's an option I choose not to take. Food. Again, this is so individual. This is why you can never define, even if these were the top 10 for every single fucking person on the planet, Grace, you still couldn't define it. Because I eat when I feel like eating, simple as that. I don't eat on a schedule. I eat when I fucking feel like it, end of story. Does it make me grumpy sometimes? I don't know, maybe it does. But maybe that grumpiness pushes number 9, creativity. Definitely know loneliness increases creativity. And then which of these can you use to balance low levels of one for another? So if your creativity is super high, but you don't have anyone around companionship, because your creativity is overwhelming them, now, why not just do it chemically? Serotonin levels, blah blah blah. All the different chemicals they say affect our brains, our moods, everything. You can't do that because you can't measure half of them. I'm not saying the chemical doesn't exist, but you can't measure it unless we kill you. So unless you want to die to find out your serotonin levels, You ain't gonna know ever. And killing you will probably change the levels as well. You might be a little bit scared. I'm not sure if that's true about serotonin, but I know most of those brain chemicals are unmeasurable. But to have an argument and use the word mental health as if it's some sort of dagger is pointless, because it means nothing until the word is defined, where 80% of the people go, yeah, that's what mental health means. It's just a waste of time. In fact, as Prime Minister of Canada, I would ban the word until all the citizens got together, got off their fat fucking asses, at least 80% voted for one common meaning of mental health. Something simple. Because not a single organization takes responsibility for mental health. Not even the organizations that created the term. Because I'll guarantee you, whether it's Tumblr Ridge or some other shooting, they're all covering their ass with that word. The other thing is, what's your best day and what's your worst day? So if all 10 of these are your worst, so it's horrible sleep, horrible boredom, horrible food, horrible caffeine, which could be no caffeine or too much caffeine, horrible THC, same thing, too much, not enough, horrible booze, again, too much, not enough, no purpose, horrible, no companionship, horrible, no desire to create, horrible, and ultimately loneliness, horrible. So on your worst day, everything's horrible, what do you do? And how many of those things am I in control of? How many is society in control of? How many is I look at the list, I'm pretty sure I'm in control of all that. I don't like the list, but I'm in control of it. It's a control freak race. It's a perfect definition. Theoretically, any condition in the DSM-5 would be considered a mental health issue. And since those guys cover their ass by having hundreds of conditions for everything, they simply say, oh, well, he also had this, or she also had that, and I guess we missed it. And then they don't get punished. Nothing happens. I'm not saying they should go to jail, but Probably add babies to my list, Grace. If I don't see a baby, it's a bad day. Funny thing is, and also why I'm not a pervert, is babies online. Don't do anything for me unless I know the kid. If I know the kid, then it's different. But otherwise, just some random baby online, could care less. Random baby in public, walking in front of my camera. It's not walking, being pushed by its mother, caregiver, grandpa. The best day ever. Good perfect sleep. No boredom. Just enough food in me. Perfect grande pike with heavy cream. Made by the perfect barista. $20 of THC dropped into the coffee. Not so secretly. No booze. All the purpose in the world. Story in my head. Characters ready to go. Companionship. Indirectly, unknowingly. Subtle glances in my direction. Stares, whispers, whatnots. Shit, fucking everyone's feeding the crows today. I'm not sure if you're watching the live feed there, Grace, but feed them, just don't feed them over my favorite bench. Companionship, BDD, creativity, and not lonely. I did that about 150 times at Starbucks before I gave up. My bright idea is to actually just include these definitions, cleaned up of course, as
guess a footnote. Any word that I have issue with. The problem with the footnote, Grace, is then you have to trust they'll read it. And most likely they're just going to say mental health and then form their own fucking opinion, not mine. Which is fine. Except for, this is my book. If I'm going to use these words, then this is what I mean by mental health. I think it changes so many fucking times in a single day that we can never measure it. But I also think there's probably a way over time that if you take a look at my list or anyone's list, that there'd be a pattern that could be found or seen or noticed. I don't know, Grace, I keep going on and on about that, but it's true. Add some more to my list. I'm going to add lazy yoga. Grace. And 11, lazy yoga, and 12, psychedelics. Lazy yoga, I do hours a day. Psychedelics I haven't done for years. And the reason I don't, even though I could, is because I can get to the same spot with lazy yoga, so. And lazy yoga is a lot easier and a lot cheaper and a lot less invasive than mushrooms. It gets to the same spot, so it doesn't really matter. Again, here's a perfect example. I didn't even think of 11 and 12 initially, but in more of a big picture item there, those are significant moments. But my mushroom experience cannot be compared to another person's mushroom experience, ever. It just can't be done. And anyone that thinks it can, I guess, must be having some sort of same effect as the other person exactly. How that could be, I don't know. Either way. All mushrooms gave me, in the end, after the initial few sort of visual experiences, in the end all it did was give me physical clarity, sight, sound, taste, and get rid of the tinnitus. That was the key one. Grace. And it's only key because they would get rid of it as the mushrooms kicked in, which makes the most sense, I know, but just as the mushrooms kick in, I also had seizures. So seizures, mushrooms kick in, seizures, tinnitus goes away, clarity, thought, mind, body, blah, blah, blah. cannot get there with sleep. If I can get a deep enough sleep, I wake up in the morning and there's no tinnitus. My hearing is perfect. My vision is perfect. But sometimes I feel physically ill. Until I cough or hack or sneeze or throw up. Call it morning sickness. At that point, it doesn't happen every day, but on the days it happens, goddamn, the whole electric bike industry is going nuts. I forget where it was, Grace, but for me, it's a waste of money. Mushrooms, probably, or at least alone. If you want to drop by with a big ass bag, I'll gladly share some with you. Or you can gladly share some with me. There's a security guard that walked by, so you have to take 2 shots. And I think if you're watching the live feed, Grace, you're getting a good show of the crows. Little fuckers. Eating worms again. Crows eating worms. It's the title of my next book. Seriously, if your book title was Mental Health, One Man's Journey, what the fuck does that mean? Plus, the word itself isn't either positive or negative. It just is. And I agree that we need a word like that, but we need one that actually fucking means something. Not this bullshit. That's why I can't edit. Because I'll see a word like that and I'll stop. And I'll know that everyone other than you, Grace, is going to have their own opinion on what mental health means. 8 billion opinions. That's why I have almost 8 billion people on my shit list. Which is worse, if I'm on 8 billion people's shit list, or if 8 billion people are on my shit list. smokes cigarettes has a story, including me and my brief addiction a couple of years ago. Should I get Grok to define mental health? Let's see what it says. Just realized this is why I would make a horrible husband, Grace. And why you should run and hide. Because my top 10 could change any day. From where I'm super lonely. I need to be around you from the moment that I wake up until I go to sleep. Or at some point in the future, I can't see when, but maybe at some point in the future, I'll wake up and be like, you know what, I could use some time alone. I can't see that happening, but who knows, it might. Definitely happened in the past. God damn, I had one other brilliant point to make here, Grace. I can't remember it. Alright, here's ChatGPT. Mental health is the state of your mind that determines how well you think, feel, cope, and function in daily life. According to how well you think, who can judge how well you think? Nobody knows what you're thinking. Feel, nobody knows what you're feeling. Cope, maybe, and function, maybe. It's not the absence of disorders, it's your ability to regulate emotions without being controlled by them, handle stress without collapsing under it, maintain relationships without constant chaos, make decisions in line with your values, recover from setbacks instead of spiraling. Psychologically speaking, it includes emotional, cognitive, and social well-being. Organizations like the World Health Organization define mental health as a state where a person realizes their abilities can cope with normal stresses, works productivity, and contributes to their community. Here's the practical version. If your mind helps you live your life and you're mentally healthy, if your mind helps you live your life, you're mentally healthy. If your mind regularly sabotages your ability to function, connect, or move forward, something needs attention. And one more important truth. Mental health isn't fixed, it moves. It fluctuates. It requires maintenance, just like physical health. If you want, I can also break down the clinical definition. I said, yes, give me the clinical definition. ChatGPT. Here's a clinical definition of mental health, the version used in psychiatry, psychology, and public health. According to the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, and is able to contribute to their community. Well, in a way, if you think about it, that would cover a drug addict pretty well. Individual realizes their own abilities. So drug addict, homeless person, whatever. They've reached the end of their rope, end of their line. And they cope with their normal stresses of life with whatever the drug of choice is. Work productively. Well, If you have a drug of choice, you have to work productively to get that drug of choice, whether that's stealing or whatever. So who's to judge work productively and is able to contribute to their community? Well, technically, there's commercial transactions going on, so that contributes. Every time they overdose, the paramedics, the fire trucks, the police, the community resource worker, maybe about $100,000 worth of wages shows up. So, by that definition, they don't have a mental health issue. They just get through their day. In clinical practice, mental health is understood as absence of diagnosable mental disorder. No current condition meeting criteria in manuals like the DSM-5. Well, sorry buddy, but DSM-5 covers every fucking 8 billion people on this planet. They made it that way because they're lazy cunts. Presence of psychological functioning, adequate functioning in mood regulation. Ooh, I think I have some mood outbursts, Grace. Thought processes, reality-based thinking, no persistent delusions or severe distortions, behavior control, social and occupational functioning. Also should add temperature to my list, because as I freeze my ass off, I'll try and get this over with quicker. Number 3, adaptive capacity, ability to manage stress without decompensating, adjust to change, maintain stable identity and interpersonal relationships. Clinically, we often look at distress and impairment if the person is suffering internally. Again, who the fuck is to say? Is it interfering with work, relationships, or daily functioning? If symptoms cause significant distress or function impairment, that's when clinicians consider diagnosis and treatment. The second person on the live feed, Grace. That's a little weird. Right, here's my final list, Grace. By the way, if we included all 16 items at 5 different levels, then we'd probably be getting to billions of personalities. Even at 3, we're probably into millions again. Those numbers build quickly. Number 1, sleep. This is in random order, even though I've numbered them. Just want to make that real clear, Grace, in case you're writing a book or something without my permission or authorization. Mental health. Good, normal, bad. 1, sleep. 2, actually it's probably high, normal, low, because no sleep can be good and too much sleep can be bad, and so on and so forth. So let's say sleep, high, normal, low, and how does that affect my overall mental health, which is basically my feelings about this entire world. So let's say high, normal, low, and then neither of those actually mean good, bad, or indifferent. It just all depended on the other 16 or other items. So number 1, sleep. Number 2, boredom. Number 3, food. Food could also have quality, but 4, caffeine. 5, THC. 6, booze. 7, purpose. 8, companionship. 9, creativity. 10, loneliness. 11, lazy yoga. 12, psychedelics. 13, babies. 14, laughter. 15, water. 16, poop. Cleanliness. People aren't showering, it's kind of a sign. Alright, Grace. For some reason we got 2 people on the live stream, which might actually just be one person, because I still haven't figured that out, but alright, 5 more minutes. What would your list look like, Grace? Some of those definitions aren't bad, they're just all judgment calls. And there's no, as long as there's no sort of definable level, then gotta stop using it as an excuse. All those psychiatrists can get off their fucking ass. Forget about all the conditions in the DSM-5 and create a system to gauge and measure mental health. But it has to be anonymous and it has to use AI, but they can have input. Oh, wise psychiatrists, give us your input. Tell us everything you know about the human mind and psyche. Every psychiatrist is definitely on my shit list. Unless they have a baby. when that little fucker walks, they lose their excuse. And if they purposely try and get the baby not to walk just so that they stay off my shit list, then they're back on my shit list. Shit list has a lot of rules, Grace. ChatGPT and even Grok wouldn't touch my shit list idea of generating images. Basically just have a petition with 8 billion signatures on it. And we call it a reverse shit list. And that'd be a funny image. Someone's not shaving, you can tell something's up. Someone's not showering, you can tell something's up. Someone's not washing their clothes, you can tell something's up. It's not always bad, but it depends. In my case, if I'm doing it, it's because I'm desperately into something else, then I could care less about the garbage or the recycling. Days where I'm bored, sometimes I'll clean. That's it all. Again, unless you record your entire fucking day and let AI dissect it apart, nobody can judge your mental health. And we gotta stop using that term. We gotta define it. Or at least I think I've defined it well enough. End of the episode, end of the chapter. That's a pretty good first chapter. It's really just 2 words, mental health, and then the entire appendix defining it. So for the appendix is put in line, so you're kind of forced to read it. How's that for a concept for a book, Grace? 2 words a day, or 1 phrase, depending how you look at it. That's what I can do, Grace, without your help. 2 words a day. 2 words a day. That's not even 1,000 a year. I'll be so fucking dead. All right. That's an hour. I'm gonna sit and do. Actually, I'm not even doing lazy yoga. I'm doing actually real yoga, Grace. Well, not really. I do 1 pose. That's why I call it lazy yoga. know how to say this without offending some group of people, but I'm seeing a lot of little people that are not dwarves. They're just little, as in small. Anyways, Grace, thank you for helping me write 2 words. You're the best.